frustrations out, came back aboard, but I was telling them that had I known, had I seen Jaws, I probably wouldn't have swum the places that I did. And there were sharks, but we had a machine gunner up in the crow's nest, which is part of the way up the mast. And he was watching out for a shark, so he'd fire a few and once in a while and scare them away. So we had it pretty safe. Anyway, one of the friends was a real good swimmer, underwater swimmer. He dived off the side of the ship. Our ship drew 15 feet of water maximum, and it was about 35 feet across and then 15 up the other side. He went across it, back up the other side, and did it fine. He handled it well. Thought if he could do it, I could do it. I came very close to not getting back to the States. I dived over the side, went down, and was about 2/3 of the way across the ship, and I thought, boy, I'm running out of air. So I don't know, my lungs really hurt. I popped out of the water sky high on the other side. Anyway, lived through that one. And the daily routine was just, like I said, the standing of the watch, and the boxing, the punching. Oh, we had a punching bag there. We all took our turns on that. And any games that you might want to play, pretty cramped quarters. We didn't see a lot. We did, by the way, I didn't mention this to the other class, they furnished us movies. They were the old 35mm movie. And one of the funniest parts, we were all parked next to each other in Hawaii. Right in the middle of the movie, there was a big flash over there, and the announcer came on and said, due to our circumstances beyond our control, there will be no movies tonight on that ship. The film got on fire. Anyway, our routine was like that. Did you get any days off? Well, let's see, you don't have any place to go. No, you don't get a day off. But occasionally, a Red Cross ship would come by and they'd find a little sandy atoll or island out there, nothing but a palm tree or two, and they would furnish the drinks, the smokes, and all the rest. I didn't tell the others, the class this either, but I didn't drink the beer, I didn't smoke the cigarettes, so I sold mine. I had a pretty nice liberty by the time we got to the next stop there. And
yeah, explain what a liberty is.
Oh, yeah, okay. Liberty is when you go ashore from the ship. You hit the shore and spend a day or part of a day, whatever, get back to the ship. If you were on leave, of course, you go anywhere that you wanted to go. You go home to visit your family, things like that. We were out at sea like 2 or 3 months at a time. We didn't get ashore. And if it wasn't for those parties on the islands out there, we wouldn't have got ashore at all. But anyway, as far as stopping, I stopped in Amoy, China, Formosa, which is Taiwan now, and Shanghai. We spent Christmas and New Year's there one time. And over at Sasebo, Japan. Sasebo is a city on the southern island of Japan. That was our sweeping headquarters. We picked up orders from there, whether we were handed the orders or whether they were radioed, and went back out to sea to sweep mines. And one of the questions was, what was one of your low moments? How was that worded? Pretty good the way they worded it.
What was one of the hardest memories during the war?
Oh, one of the hardest memories of the war? This gypsy Rose Lee, that was supposed to be a Japanese woman that was to break our morale, sang 40s music. Well, we thoroughly enjoyed it. It was no problem for us. We enjoyed the music. But anyway, about Christmas time, she started singing Christmas carols. That was the toughest time. was it like to live in the U.S., by the way, not America, but the U.S., United States of America? What was it like to live there during World War II? I got a taste of that. It was, everybody was busy with the war effort, whether it was farmers or whatever, and they tried their best to help the situation. There wasn't any bickering. I don't remember that we ever had uprisings because of the restrictions on.
Before 8th period gets started, I just wanted to make some announcements for student council.
We've got two different schedules,
The
we've got
9th
junior high
grade
schedule and high
president
school
next year
schedule,
will be
so.
Trent Walker,
Interrupts
Vice President
the-
Cutter Anderson, Secretary Treasurer Joy Hossey. For 10th grade, President will be Joe Zock, Vice President Chloe Dwork, Secretary Treasurer Ryan Van Ostrand. 11th grade, Nathan Mills, President, Ashlyn Power, Vice President, and Elizabeth Nunley,
Yeah, no. We got
Secretary.
plenty of time, so.
12th grade, Trevor Lockers,
We just did a
President,
student council election,
Dana Van
so
Ostrand, Vice
that's why.
President, and
Taking
Abby
a little bit
Connell,
longer.
Secretary Treasurer. Congratulations, everybody.
Alright, should we do that now?
Number 12.
Hey, bring it back in, guys.
12th question was, what was it like to live in the U.S. In World War II? Well, as I mentioned before, I was a freshman. It didn't mean a whole lot till I got closer to being a senior. Maybe through classes and all, I got to understand a little bit better. And the situation was worry and threatened, and loss of life, scrap iron drives. Probably there's never been anything like that. All the old junk piles in the country, old machinery, cars and so forth, were picked up and smelted and put back into the war effort, whatever it be. And there were conscientious objectors, of course, a few of them. They were really looked down on at that time. I guess they had their own reasons. But the coming together in a patriotism, that was worth a lot. Yes.
Well, did you ever encounter any submarines?
I'm sorry, you have to speak up a little louder.
Did you ever encounter any submarines?
Submarines? Is that what-
Did you encounter any?
No, no, never did I see a submarine out of port. Now, I've been on the deck of a submarine, and along the docks, Matter of fact, we went in one to inspect it one time, that's the closest I ever came to it. It reminds me, I had a chance in boot camp. I was chosen that I was eligible to go to submarine school, which would have put me on a submarine. And for some reason, they sent me to electrical school, which probably was a good deal. Before we get to the end of this, the last question was, if you could impart any wisdom to the younger generation in America, what would you give them for words of advice? All I can say is love your country and your God, and show it with your support. And it's the best country in the world. Show interest in your community and show, as individuals, speak up your thoughts rather than being radical. Speak them up and talk about them. There's a lot of subversive things now that I don't really care for. One of the questions was medals. I've got a World War II medal and a Pacific Ocean medal. Pass them around if you like. As you notice, I don't have a whole lot. I had a good conduct, an Oriental ribbon there showing the ribbon shows that we occupied that part of the country at that time. And one Bronze Star. I had one little operation that we got a Bronze Star for.
Tell us about it.
Oh, it was just actually routine. We didn't know it was any different from the other. We went into a minefield, swept the mines to the beach so that a landing craft could get to the beach. And they said we deserved a medal for that, a star for that. So that's all we wanted to do. There's no hero. We just had a job to do and something that kids our age had to do. We defeated the enemy, and that's
us something about where you were at when Pearl Harbor happened?
Well, Pearl Harbor, that caught me as a freshman in high school. The war went on 4 or 5 years, at least. I lost dates. Anyway, yeah, it was a shock, but I really didn't comprehend until I got overseas and saw some of the destruction and saw where the enemy had dug into the islands, that sort of thing, and where the prisoners were kept, and that sort of thing. Then it hit home. Finally, I grew up, I guess.
So when, did you see some of those places where the enemies had been at?
Saipan and Okinawa was a good example. They were really dug in there, and you could go for hundreds of yards walking over tunnels and places like that. It was pretty hard to get them out. You've seen the pictures of Rambo and all using the flamethrower. Well, that actually took place, of course. Maybe not like Rambo did it, but
Right.
yeah, they were fortified. And
If you wouldn't have been drafted, would you have voluntarily still signed up to fight?
oh yes, I did volunteer. Of course, I volunteered for the Navy, but all my friends went to the service. Those that could, of course, some of them didn't pass the physical, or they were in a position where they thought it was more important for them to stay at their job and help the war effort that way.
You said there was a lot of support in America. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that with the metal drives and
Yes, the metal drives, that was one of the big things that I remember because that took place from my freshman year on. People around our part of the country saving that old machinery out there for parts or something, but they gave it up and it went to the smelting pots and all. Yeah, it was real important, and it was good to see. And never did I remember a radical group, a subversive group.
how about the prankster? That was a good, I like
The
that.
what?
Your Irish friend on board the ship, the
Oh,
prankster.
Yeah, well,
Look, he's like that one.
everybody has their pranksters. I'll bet you have pranksters in this class.
No.
Raise your hand. Anyway, an Irishman, a friend of mine from Chicago, he was starting to work towards being an electrician thing. Anyway, he had more tricks up his sleeve than anybody I knew of. And I used this one example. We headed back for the States. The chief petty officer, who was the officer of our engine room, got leave. I don't know, he was discharged or something. Anyway, he left the ship, left me in charge of the aft engine room. And I was pretty worried. I was scared to death. I didn't know what to do if an emergency came up, you know. I proved that I could do it, but anyway, I went to sleep that night after on my 8 hours off. John Kilmartin was his name. He came rushing down, shook me. Coley, they called me. Wake up, got a problem. And I jumped up still in my skivvies and ran the full length of the ship down into the engine room. On the way, there was a electric shop there. He stopped. He said, well, when did you hear this? He took an old tin box and played shaving a haircut on the bench. He said, doesn't that just send you? Yes, it did. I chased him all over the ship. But anyway, things like that. We got back at him, and it did help him a little bit, his attitude. You've seen these stretchers that are a basket type. The body fits in the basket. It's a woven